Hello to all Cinemaster lovers. Hope you enjoy watching. Let's get started. Our movie begins with a married woman named Laura Palmer, who is dressed as an employee and pretending to work at a large Hollywood production agency owned by one of the country's most important businessmen. She meets with a group of writers pitching their ideas and stories, hoping to turn them into artistic, cinematic, and dramatic works. Laura listens to them one by one, despite finding their ideas trivial and repetitive. None of the stories captivate her, and she feels there is nothing new or worth implementing. She tries to be polite, assuring the writers that their ideas are good and promising to get back to them soon. Meanwhile, Laura discovers that her husband is accusing her of trying to take their daughter away from him. He is seen as an unsuitable and alcoholic parent, and the couple is planning an official divorce. Laura, however, wants to move to London with her daughter to escape her husband's lifestyle. She tells him to leave, determined to protect her daughter from his trivial and chaotic life. Sometimes Laura struggles to understand whether her husband is a person or just a lifeless figure in her life. During a conversation, her husband asks if she remembered their daughter Anna's birthday and bought a cake. Laura lies, claiming she didn't forget, but in reality she had completely overlooked it. She asks her assistant, Christian, to buy a cake and figure out Anna's favorite type by checking her TikTok or other social media accounts. At the launch party of a major movie produced by her company, Laura encounters Sebastian, the arrogant and conceited son of the company's owner, Snell. Sebastian constantly mocks Laura, including her old and cheap watch. He announces that Alba, Laura's friend, will present the movie instead of her, leaving Laura distressed but trying to hide her feelings. She later realizes that the replacement presenter is nervous and unprepared, so Laura offers her advice on how to present the movie confidently. She suggests using words like elegant, amazing, and masterpiece to impress the audience. However, at the party, the new presenter embarrasses herself, failing to deliver a proper speech. Laura secretly feels satisfied, viewing it as a personal victory and proof of her superiority. Later, Laura is seen boarding a luxurious private plane belonging to Snell, Sebastian's father. The plane is filled with businessmen heading to Alaska. During the flight, Laura learns that one of the passengers, a businessman named Bart, has died suddenly. This marks the third death, and almost the same symptoms, and at that moment, Laura notices that the teeth of the person who is talking to her are getting blurry and shiny and gets surprised. And after a while, Laura has a video call with her daughter Anna and Tony, and she wants to wish Anna a happy birthday and sings to her. But Anna seems to be annoyed with both of them and ends the call without saying a word. So at that moment, Laura asks Tony to sign the divorce and custody papers so that she can take Anna to London with her, because that is the best to all of them, especially Anna. But Tony gets bored and knows that Anna will stay with him in Barcelona. And at that moment, Laura tells him that she will talk to the lawyer, and she ends the call and is very upset because of what he said. And after that, Laura goes into the bathroom, and when she sees the creams that were put on the sink, she steals them and puts it in her bag. And when she comes out of the bathroom, she discovers that the businessman who was talking to her died suddenly. When the plane lands in Alaska, the freezing weather and snow-covered landscape greet the passengers. Snell's assistant gives Laura warm but unappealing clothes, and they travel in a sled dog-driven vehicle due to the snowy terrain. Along the way, the assistant informs Laura that she will soon be promoted to executive director, managing a special department in the company. This promotion comes with a doubled salary, a luxurious apartment, and additional profits. Laura is thrilled by the news. They arrive at what looks like a camp, heavily guarded and filled with people. Snell appears and addresses the crowd, revealing that the camp is part of his city, where he is prospecting for gold. He is determined to find the gold before summer, fearing that others might discover it first and claim the fortune. No one expected there to be gold at all. He told them that he hated laziness, weakness, and silly ideas about equality because he only believed in the rich, seeing them as the solution and the reason for progress. He told everyone at that time that he had gathered them because he knew they were competent and would assist in the new departments and projects he wanted to launch in his corporate empire. He asked them to show the world that gold was for people who were willing to work and endure the cold. At the same time, a person named Yi spoke up and told Snell that he was not convinced by his words, especially since they were buying shares in a company with almost no profit potential. Snell responded to him, saying that the shares would make him feel like part of the family, and he would raise their salaries and provide them with insurance and benefits. They couldn't have dreamed of such things. Then we see Laura signing the contract without hesitation, happy as she does so. Snell's assistant, sitting with her, congratulates her. Later, Snell sits with Laura and tells her he doesn't want to die early because he still has many things he wants to accomplish. He also mentions that his son, Sebastian, always complains about her disagreements with him and their inability to align on work matters. It becomes clear that Snell is upset with his son, because he is careless and unlike him. Laura tells him that sometimes her daughter doesn't understand her either. At that moment, Snell tells her about the charity auction to be held at Buckingham Palace in London, saying it's a wonderful opportunity for her to present herself and outshine all competitors. He mentions that there will be questions about their new projects, and he notes that the plane will be ready in the morning to take them to London. The next day, we see Laura on the plane with Yi, and she notices he has the same book that Snell gave her. He tells her that he was sent to inspect the refugee camps and thought the only African immigrants he should worry about were them. It's clear he is speaking sarcastically about the immigrants. When Laura tries to call Anna, she doesn't answer. She learns from Tony that Anna is spending the night at a friend's house named Larry. While Laura browses the internet, she sees news about the chaos happening in the world and the massive economic losses that have occurred. This chaos is affecting billionaires and world leaders. She reads about the spread of plutophobia, the extreme fear of wealth and money. She learns that a large number of sudden deaths are occurring, all involving businessmen and people of excessive wealth. When Laura arrives at the airport, she tries to call Anna again, but her phone is off. At that moment, she finds Christian waiting for her in the car. In the car, he informs her that Anna will not attend the auction, but that a prince will be sent or called in her place. However, Laura is worried about the news she read and asks Christian if he thinks she is rich because she has a lot of money, though she hasn't reached the level of obscene wealth through gambling. Laura begins to feel afraid for herself and becomes anxious. When she arrives at the palace, the auction begins, and everyone is present. She hears extremely high bids during the auction. At that moment, she decides to participate in the auction as Snell had requested. An old antique painting of a sunken ship is displayed, and everyone is captivated. The highest bid for the painting is $550,000. At that moment, Anna calls Laura, and Laura quickly leaves, torn between focusing on Anna or the auction. Suddenly, without thinking, she decides to bid $2 million for the painting. She wins the auction and takes the painting. After the auction, Laura continues her conversation with Anna, trying to convince her to come to London and live with her, saying she could achieve everything she ever wished for because her job had transferred her to another place, and she has a lot of money. Suddenly, Laura notices that one of the businessmen's teeth are shining and crowned in a strange way. This is the same thing that happened to the businessman who died on the plane. Suddenly, Laura hears a scream in the palace and realizes that a member of the royal family is having strange convulsions and dies immediately. Everyone is in shock. The news quickly spreads, and all media outlets begin analyzing the situation. Some believe a new epidemic is spreading, while others suspect terrorist operations. Doctors announce that this is a mysterious flu that has suddenly emerged. It seems to mock wealth and the rich. Laura realizes that the global economy has completely collapsed because of these events. A large number of wealthy families and individuals begin disposing of their assets. After that, she is in the car and finds her mother calling her, and she knows that Anna is with her, and she will leave the place with her until she solves her problems with Tony, because Anna is psychologically affected by the divorce and their problems, so she gives Laura to her mother and asks her not to interfere in her life again. But at the same time, her mother hangs up. Then Laura calls Tony to help her bring Anna from her mother's house, and she knows that she is going to Barcelona now. But before she travels, she goes to meet Sebastian, who is very upset with her because his father made her responsible for the projects and departments of the new company, and he also made her rich and has money so that she can compete with him one day. So Laura wants him to understand that they can work together for the benefit of the company, and she knows that she really appreciates his skills and cleverness at work. So Sebastian gets angry with her and tells Laura that he doesn't need her praise because he knows himself well. He also expresses his anger toward his father, calling him a despicable man who drinks the blood of his enemies. In his rage, Sebastian starts breaking everything around him. He looks at Laura and tells her to run off and buy new clothes and watches with the large amount of money her father left her. Laura gets surprised that his father left her $30 million, and that this is the reason for Sebastian's nervousness because he did not think of giving him all this money. At the same moment, Laura notices that Sebastian's teeth are shining with the same strange shine that she saw twice before. She starts to get nervous and feel afraid. Then, Laura learns from Christian that a state of emergency has been declared and all flights from airports all over the world have been cancelled, so she cannot travel to Barcelona today. Laura is cut off and asks him to find her a private plane or any means of travel. When Laura goes out to the street, she discovers that people are holding demonstrations, and the situation is difficult and chaotic, and everyone is in a state of collapse. In the car, Laura receives a video call from Snell's commercial assistant, and she asks him fearfully to look at her account and shares now. The assistant says that her shares are now worth about $900 million, so it becomes to the point that even the car is afraid of her being sick and infecting him, and he wears a mask. The only way that can make Laura safe and protected from the money is for her to find someone who will accept to take all this money from her. Because currently, everyone is terrified of money, and no one wants money anymore, and everyone is getting rid of it. Then Laura notices that she is looking in the mirror and that her teeth have started to whiten more than before, so she is afraid and trembles. She finds the antivirus forces next to her, and they know that she is on the list of people who need care and monitoring. Laura acts at that moment as though she agrees to their presence and monitoring of her, knowing that anyway, she was afraid to stay at home alone. That is why she goes in to gather her things and move with them. At that time, we discover that Laura is trying to escape through the fire escapes in the building. She gets into her car and quickly runs to the place that Christian told her about. There, she reacts to a large group of people throwing their cars and moving towards the plane that is about to take off. At that moment, she sees Christian and realizes that he was able to provide her with a plane ticket so that she can return to Barcelona as soon as possible. At that time, she and Christian see people fighting to find a place on the plane. At that same moment, one of the people grabs the dog that is with an old woman because it took his place on the plane. He throws it far away, betting on its death, and it happens. At that moment, Laura asks Christian to take her money and his shares, making him understand that she has to do this because Tony wants to steal from her and will not divorce her while she has all this money. For that reason, she wants to give the money to anyone until the divorce is completed, and she will return to take it from him again. At that moment, Christian understands Laura and knows that she is lying. He is upset because she wants to sacrifice him, but he helps her, worried about her, and leaves her alone at that moment, walking away. Laura leaves everyone and moves, calling Tony to let him know that she is on the plane and will be in Barcelona in 6 hours. Tony is surprised that she is with her mother, so Laura asks him to take Anna from her mother and waits her until she arrives. Tony tells her that the city is in a state of chaos and madness. People are killing each other, and the situation is very terrifying. She is shocked and does not know how to think or find a solution. After a while, differences of opinion occur between the people on the plane. Some regret taking a plane that was not properly equipped, while others think it was the best solution, especially since even the government and the army want them to die because they are rich and dangerous to them. They believe the epidemic is hovering around them and that they are the reason for the spread of the epidemic. At the same time, the old woman notices that the person who killed her dog has teeth that shine, a sign of the virus. At that moment, panic spreads on the plane and everyone becomes very scared. Suddenly, the plane door opens by mistake, and the old man and woman fall out of the plane together because of the quarrel that happened between them. Everyone is shocked by what happened. Then Laura sees the news, which states that a quarantine has been imposed on the rich and the obscene. She realizes that everyone who has money, bank accounts, and properties is being disposed of and thrown away. She also learns that scientists have called the spreading epidemic the rich flu. After a while, the plane arrives in Barcelona, which is in a very difficult situation because of the chaos happening there. At that time, Laura calls Tony, who knows that the plane has arrived. They find out that Snell's possessions have been destroyed, and he is missing. No one knows where he is, as he threw away all his wealth to protect himself from the disease. Then Tony arrives and finds Laura. She rides with him in the car and he tells her about the chaos that is happening and that all the rich people are being attacked. And he says that she is safe because she didn't take the new salary and benefits from her company, or she would be in danger of contracting the disease. Became more nervous. Laura stayed silent and did not respond. Suddenly, at the same moment, they encounter an ambush in front of them, and Tanya becomes exhausted. Because he knows who has the money in the bag, he realizes that all the banks are closed, and she needed the money under any circumstances. At that time, the policeman allowed the doctors to examine him to determine if they were carrying the disease or not, and she was very afraid that someone would discover the matter of the money she had. Suddenly, a transport vehicle attacks the ambush, and everyone becomes preoccupied with it, so he leaves her and Tony the car and runs away. After a while, the two of them arrive at the village where his mother is sitting. Laura is with him, and when she sees her, she stands still, neither moving nor speaking to her. This bothers Laura as she loves her mother and talks to her, asking her to stay away from her daughter and not interfere in her life or her family's life again, because she is her daughter, and she is free to make decisions with her. Her daughter is happy with what is happening, but she has no right to exploit her daughter for personal gain. She leaves her angrily and thinks about the famine affecting her. At night, Laura is sitting with Tony and tells him the truth, that she has a lot of money and is considered rich because Snail transferred all his possessions to her. She tried to do the same with Christian's assistant, but he understood her and left her. Because of this, she decided to leave and stay away from him and Anna, because she feared she might be sick and would infect them. Tony told her that it was not appropriate for her to leave, especially since no one yet knows how the disease is transmitted from one person to another. At that same moment, A man named Pablo enters and tells Laura that she must leave because the police are looking for her due to her escape from the ambush, which could endanger them all. She arranges another place for them to go, but Laura knows she has to leave and that Tony will stay with her. When Anna sees what is happening and people attacking her mother for leaving, she collapses and becomes scared, telling them that this is her mother and that they all must stay together. Tony asks them to calm down so they can discuss and find a solution, but all the people in the village refuse. Then Laura gets on a boat with her mother, Tony and Anna. She knows they left the village and keeps thinking about where they will go. Mama Laura suggests they go to Tanzania because she has a friend